everyone, and welcome to the September 19th regular Legislative Committee meeting of the Town of Vegreville. I'll call this meeting to order at 3:02. First up, we'll be looking for a motion to adopt the agenda. Councillor Bullock makes the motion. Is there any additions or deletions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. Councillor Curtis is joining us via social media, and he's frozen, so, okay, carried. Next up, the adoption of the minutes. Take a motion for the minutes of our last regular meeting. Thank you, Councillor Lemko. Any errors or omissions within those minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. So, first up is Director Johnson, Corporate Services Director.
Thank you, Your Worship. So we have a few letters to read, the first one being from the North Saskatchewan Water Alliance. On September 5th, they wrote to His Worship Tim McPhee, the Mayor of the town of Vegreville, RE, the supporting watershed management for a thriving town of Vegreville. They write, I hope this letter finds you in good health and spirits. I am writing to you on behalf of the North Saskatchewan Watershed Alliance to kindly request your support for the NSWA in 2024. Last year, Vegreville was not among the more than 40 municipalities who supported the NSWA. This year, as we embark on another year of collaborative efforts, we are again asking for positive consideration by you and your council in 2024 for a contribution of $3,377. As you are aware, water and environmental management stands as a pillar of Vegreville's growth and prosperity. The well-being of our citizens and our economy depends on secure access to clean drinking water, the sustained health of our watershed, protection against flooding and drought, and effective stormwater management. Vegreville is important to our watershed because the water the town needs comes from the landscape upstream of the city, while city stormwater and wastewater can affect the ecosystem downstream. This means that improving sustainability is best achieved at a watershed scale and in collaboration with other water managers. At the NSWA, we believe the complex, multifaceted nature of water and environmental management is best tackled by bringing people and communities together to collaborate. For more than 23 years, the NSWA has worked tirelessly to bring partners together to improve how we collectively manage our rivers, wetlands, and lakes using the best and most applicable science. This important work is accomplished because of the generous support of municipalities like Vegreville, the provincial government, and water utilities. Your support means that the NSWA can continue to bring municipalities and partners together to address water quality and quality challenges, build new tools for decision makers, and improve our understanding of the watershed. One such project is the NSWA's update to the State of the Watershed Assessment, last completed in 2005. NSWA is using an internationally recognized method called the Freshwater Health Index, developed by Conservation International to calculate a numeric rating for the watershed's vitality, ecosystem services, and governance. The state of the watershed enables Vegreville to make decisions and set priorities armed with the best information on the health of the watershed. The assessment is also a valuable tool for the town to communicate basin health within its citizens. We believe that through collective efforts, we can build a future where water resources are managed sustainably, benefiting not only Vegreville, but our entire watershed. Your continued support is invaluable in shaping this vision into reality. We invite you to explore our 2022 to 2023 annual report and the NSWA website for more information. Enclosed is an invoice to facilitate the administration of your suggested contribution. I would be happy to connect with you and your council to provide more information. The NSWA Executive Director, Scott Miller, is also available to present to Vegreville and to answer any questions you may have about the NSWA. Sincerely, Stephanie Neufeld.
Thank you. Go ahead, CAO Ling.
And just for clarification, we are a member of the North Saskatchewan Watershed Alliance, and we budget for it annually, and we have paid them even before May. I'm looking at one of the budget reports from May, and they were paid. So this letter is, that line is in error.
Okay, so we used to work under the Vermilion River Watershed Alliance, correct? And then they just sort of all rolled into this now, is that correct, Councillor Barry?
Yes, Your Worship. What took place in the last year is that we dissolved the society part of the Vermilion River watershed so that now we're one of the sub-watersheds under the North Saskatchewan Watershed Alliance. The monies have always gone to the North Saskatchewan Watershed Alliance, but they also provide the support for our watershed, or for our sub-watershed, I should say. So most of their funding actually comes through the Alberta government and EPCOR, but the municipalities throughout the watershed contribute a considerable amount as well. And so it is something I'm glad you clarified that, CEO Ling, because I know that we have paid that bill every year.
Okay, so their request for 2024, I guess is what we're looking at, correct? And is this in line with what we were paying per capita last year?
It's a slight increase, but it's not outside. We're budgeting like 2,900 last year, so.
So it'd be about a $500 increase.
Okay, so we'll bring this up at Monday night's council meeting for a motion.
We can do that, or we can just include it in 2024 budget and just have it for information here, either way.
Well, I think we're gonna need a motion if it's gonna be in the budget, plus the fact that it's a $500 increase. Maybe somebody on council would like to tell us the benefits of being a part of this. And Councilor Lemko will be in charge of that, so it'll be good. Okay, so we'll bring this back to Monday's meeting for, I don't think we need to read the letter again, but we'll receive and file and we'll ask for a motion on this.
Okay, we'll get that done.
Thank you. Director Johnston.
Glad we don't have to read that again, because I was definitely going to stumble on more words than I did this time.
Yeah.
All right. Our next correspondence is from ATCO, dated August 29th, 2023, written to the town of Vegreville with attention to the CAO. It is with regard to the ATCO Gas and Pipeline Limited Natural Gas Distribution Franchise Agreement. It states, as you are aware, ATCO Gas pays the town of Vegreville a franchise fee. The franchise fee is collected from customers in Vegreville and is based on a percentage of our delivery tariff. In Vegreville, this percentage currently is 33%. In 2022, our delivery tariff revenue in Vegreville was $2,345,852. Our forecast delivery tariff revenue for 2024 is $2,199,533. Therefore, based on the current franchise fee percentage, your forecast 2024 franchise fee revenue would be $725,846. Please note that the forecast 2024 delivery tariff revenue can be impacted by changes in customer operations and weather. Additionally, ATCO Gas has utilized forecast 2024 delivery rates. However, they are not yet approved by the Alberta Utilities Commission. ATCO Gas commits to providing updated franchise fee revenue forecasts at a future date should there be material impacts related to the update of these forecast assumptions. Pursuant to our franchise agreement, you have the option to change the franchise fee percentage in 2024. A request to change the franchise fee must be received by ATCO in writing prior to November 1st, 2023. If you are considering changing the franchise fee in 2024, please contact us as soon as possible to begin the process. We trust you will find the information useful, and if you have any questions or require anything further, please do not hesitate to contact me at blairbishop@atco.com.
Any discussion? Go ahead, Councilor Riddick.
I would be in favor of keeping the franchise fee at the rate that it currently is. I don't think this is a time to be increasing it. It is a revenue source, certainly for the town of Vegreville, but of course we want to be sensitive to the needs of our residents.
And again, on the electric side, we're at 10% on our franchise fees, and this one we're at 33%. we're a little higher here than the average of municipalities, but lower on the electrical side of the average of municipalities. So this will come to Monday's meeting for a motion to either leave it or increase it. So if anybody wants any more information regarding how this works, or, I mean, it's pretty laid out what our forecasted revenues would be off of this, so. Okay, thank you. You've got one more.
One more. So the third and final correspondence we have is from the Northern Lights Library System. It is written to Miss Sandra Ling with the town of Vegreville, and it states, further to the letter sent in April on August 25, 2023, the Northern Lights Library System Board unanimously approved in principle the upcoming 2024 budget. The budget includes a 1.5% levy increase for municipalities and or their library boards. The budget is anticipated to be ratified at the November 24, 2023 General Board meeting. Northern Lights Library Systems Agreement stipulates that we use the same population list to assess the membership levy that the provincial government uses to calculate library operating grants. Therefore, your population for purposes of the 2024 library system levy is 5,708. Please send a copy of your council motion accepting or rejecting the presented Northern Lights Library System Board 2024 budget with its 1.5% levy increase. 2024 levies work out to be $5.39 per capita for the municipality and $10.78 per capita for a municipality without a library board. The total levy for 2024 equals $30,766.12 from the town of Vegreville, which is 5,708 people multiplied by the $5.39 per capita. Do not remit payment. The invoice will follow in December. You may contact your Northern Lights Library Board member representative if you have any questions. A copy of the budget is available from your Northern Lights Library Board member representative. Regards, Jennifer and Helger.
Okay, thank you very much. Any discussion? Go ahead, Councilor Riddick.
So I'll just, I had referenced a little bit of the information of our last Northern Lights Library Systems meeting. And just to clarify, that 1.5% is intended to represent a little bit of growth in costs over the next 3 years to ensure that there's a smooth transition in terms of the increasing cost of utilities. But it is still the average annual Canadian inflation rate since 1998 is 1.89%. So they're deliberately trying to catch some of those increasing costs without making it onerous. And the difference between last year and this year, for example, is 8 cents per capita, which isn't significant. But they've also been very deliberate about increasing the revenue by having more members, renting out office space, and also moving some of the money from reserves to cover some expenses. But there is no doubt that municipalities continue to be the large supporters of the Northern Lights Library Systems, and the province of Alberta, although they did kick in some money last year, they are still far behind because they've given no money for 9 years. So catching up in a lump sum this year before the election was not enough. It's still an 18% disparity between the funding from the province and municipalities. So it is a challenge, but Northern Lights Library Systems continues to find different ways to be able to amplify their revenue and be very tight in terms of their budget. So this is the proposal over the next few years that up until 2026, it'll be up to $5.47 is the proposed per capita rate.
Okay, go ahead, Councilor Lemko.
Yeah, and I understand the increase. I do question the population, 5,708. I believe the last census had us lower than that. Not that but if they're using that number, they should be accurate on that number.
I can ask about that number and bring it back for Monday.
Okay, so obviously, this is a little more than what the last year's budget was. So I know it was probably 8 years ago, 9 years ago, we took a look at what overall at our budget meetings, the library was costing us. And since then, we have increased our grant, plus we've taken on the responsibility of paying all the bills at the library for the building. I would like to know where we fit. At the time, what we were funding was more than some small cities were paying to operate their library. So if we could get a bit of comparison for budget, where we're at the funding levels that we are putting into our library. Again, go ahead, Councillor Rudy.
So I just, valid question, and be happy to bring that forward from the library board. Of course, the Northern Lights Library Systems is all of the reserve, off-reserve, Indigenous communities, municipalities in the region. So this would be separate from the budget that is presented by the library board to council, and a different pocket of money, but as I am the counselor on that board as well, I'd be happy to bring that back.
Yeah, and again, I mean, this is just another cost of operating the library. I mean, to be part of Northern Lights. So again, I just want everybody in the community to understand what we are putting in to the library, facilities, and to be part of Northern Lights. And I'd like to have a real comparison. I mean, I don't feel that's something that is, you know, I know that we have a very nice library, but today's, with the cost of everything else going up, I just want to make sure that we're in the ballpark of other municipalities our size. You know, try to do our best to keep the spending to a, go ahead, Councillor Barry.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just for a bit from my experience of sitting on these boards as well, I think the major difference between our local library and the library system here is the Northern Lights Library System provides a tremendous amount of support to each library in the area, and it actually means that individuals who attend our own local library can actually request books and items from anywhere in the province. So what it does is it brings together a vast resource for them, and they also provide a lot of other resources that the local library wouldn't be able to handle. That is why I agree with Councillor Rudick that it is a separate budget item. Your impression as to how our local library, maybe it's some of their local programs that might be more costly, but I wouldn't want to take away the Northern Lights Library system from them.
Do you think the city of Medicine Hat doesn't belong to the same arrangement where they pay per capita to belong to the similar organization as Northern Lights?
Yes, they do.
Yeah,
And
so
they
I
have-
mean, it would be very comparable because most libraries belong to an overarching board. So I just want to see where we're at. I mean, because it all comes out of property tax, right? So go ahead, Councillor Warwick.
I think that's a very fair statement, and if for nothing else, it's not necessarily because we are going to change what we're funding, but it is good when we're speaking to the public, because sometimes people will discuss different decisions made or money allocations. So I think it's fair for them to note, you know, what we do spend there. So I think for that purpose, I would want to know what we put in and it is comparable to other places, and maybe we'll find that we're right in line, or maybe we'll find that we need to look at different ways for cost savings or comparing programs from different places. So I think more information is always better.
Well, it was probably 9 years ago was the last time we did a comparison with other municipalities and what they're putting in their budget. And this is a line item in the budget, Northern Lights, no different than other municipalities that aren't in Northern Lights belong to another group. So that's, I would just like to see that during budget, and I would like the citizens of Vegreville to know exactly what level we're funding at, so. Okay, thank you very much, Director Johnson. I think you're done. Up next is CAO Ling.
All right. This is a request from the Vegreville Food Bank. In the past few years, council has been generous enough to donate their time during November and some of December to do the food bank pickups from the local grocery stores. And they are wondering if council would be interested in doing it again this year. And as you see from the email, these are the dates that are available that they need volunteers for.
Councillor Bullock, go ahead.
I think it's a good thing that we volunteered to do this. Go ahead and keep, it's something we need in Vegreville, so I'll definitely be on the list for that too.
1, 2, 3, 4. So
And
they're
if-
looking for 8 spots to be covered from council.
Yes.
Is
And
there
if,
anybody here that wants to say no to this?
and if council is in agreement and would like to sponsor these 2 months, we can set up a schedule and get that information from you offline via email.
Councillor Curtis?
Hello, am I frozen again, or am I good?
Oh, you're looking good now.
Oh, perfect, thank you. Yeah, all in agreement with this too. We can work out the dates for us for sure.
Okay, so let's go ahead and inform the food bank that, yeah, we're more than willing to participate, and I think we've all actually had a little bit of team bonding experiences doing this, and it's always nice, so
All right.
I'm taking those 2 months off. I won't be around, but it should be okay. Okay, thank you for that. Okay, so we got some round table now. We'll just go around and see what everybody else has been hearing or anything they want to bring up. We'll start with you, Councillor Curtis.
Thank you. I got nothing pressing right now. It's been a slow week for me. Councillor Lemko stepped in for me at our meeting last night. I was a little under the weather, so he may have a few things for me there, but all good on my end.
Okay, so maybe Councillor Lemko has something.
Your worship, I do. Last night's Tourism Advisory Board meeting, some of the items that were discussed was the Christmas light up. It will be held Friday, November 24th with the parade. The week before, the Chamber will be running their craft sale on November 18th weekend. There's some more stuff will be discussed and happening as they move forward. But that's the date, November 24th, with the parade down the same route as last year down Main Street. There is the Vic Information Center will be closing. The last day apparently is Sunday, October 1st, and that's when it'll close. The Chamber's running virtual golf at the Garden Inn, 2-person teams. And it'll be starting October 1st. So if you're interested in entering a team into the virtual golf, get your name in there very quickly. I believe the entry fee is $400 per person, so $800 per 2-man team. Includes the 10 weeks of virtual golf, including prizes and all the other things that go with that. They're also holding their October 14th hockey draft, 4-person teams, $600 per team. And it's in person at the golf course on October 14th. And the Chamber's Christmas party is December 8th. Other things that were discussed, the Alberta Day event that was held here on September 1st, I believe. There were 11 vendors out, and also Vegreville visual artists were there. Food trucks said it was there. The movie had roughly between 150 and 200 people. Popcorn was served between 7:30 and 9:30. And thanks to CAO Ling and Jameson and Michelle and who else was out there helping? I forgot the last name, but they had lots of popcorn. Apparently the seagulls were well fed next day for all the popcorn that was in the park. Seagulls don't eat popcorn bags, so next year maybe we can have more garbage cans out there too for people to throw their popcorn. Well-received event. It was great. fall registration night. There was 40 tables, the biggest so far that was on record. Over 300 people attended the fall registration night, which is good to see. Other than that, Your Worship, I have nothing else to elaborate on.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Rudy.
Well, since we've last met, I had FCM, Federation of Canadian Municipalities board meetings. It was virtual. And just a couple of resolutions I wanted to bring forward for your information, as well as election information. So our rural forum, which comprises dozens of elected officials from across the country, from coast to coast to coast, has a new chair. So the current chair is Neil Como from Parkland County, and the vice chair, Leah Main, is from Silverton, BC, as the other vice chair is Mike Strachan from Torquay, Saskatchewan. So we've got a little bit of the prairies, BC, as well as Alberta, to be able to represent those issues moving forward. The former chair was Robin Kerpuate from Cypress County, so happy to have another Alberta chair for that committee. And some of the resolutions that came forward out of the board meeting are of particular interest to us here in Vegreville. And so one of the ones I'll just draw attention to is a resolution talking about a graduated tier system for RCMP cost-sharing agreements, talking about basically the huge increase in cost that is unanticipated as you move up in population, as well as some of the other conversations that we had about increasing tax exemption for volunteer firefighters and search and rescue volunteers, ensuring that there is a federal mechanism to increase to address the inflationary costs through disaster mitigation adaptation fund. So as people are facing drought, floods, fires, and hurricanes with ever increasing vigor, that municipalities are really bearing the crunch and really unable to be able to manage that, as well as making sure that we've got some conversation about rural transit or transportation costs for communities such as ours, and looking forward to be able to have some of those carry forward in the next little while. And one of the biggest conversations was the municipal growth framework, which is talking about infrastructure funding and the next iteration of what that looks like. So we're anticipating here in Vegreville, we are very appreciative of the ISIP funding that existed previously, but the continuing challenge between getting federal and provincial government to agree on anything makes people like us here in Vegreville have a real challenge. So we end up having a deal that's negotiated that in the end looks very different. And Canada Community Building Fund is delivered by the province, but there's very little link to the federal government. I saw the MLA today making a presentation to Bruderheim for their MSI and CCBF. But as we all know, Canada Community Building Fund comes from the federal government, and that's one of the best ways to be able to, as we've played with here a little bit as we move money around, to be able to address some of our infrastructure deficits. So some big conversations going on, and looking forward to be able to have some results. We made a statement on the urgent need for wildfire support, as we've got communities that continue to be in really dire straits. So great meetings, happy to be able to do it online, and unfortunate that we couldn't meet in Yellowknife. Locally, I've had a few people reach out to me about the skate park, and I think they've reached out to some of our staff about how enthusiastically everybody's approaching using the venue, but that there might be some more need for both recycling and garbage facilities, because they're often overflowing on the weekend and evenings. So I think they've addressed that with staff here, but a lot of good feedback from people that don't live here either, that have come specifically to try out the new park. So big thanks to the Rotary Club again for making sure that there are some other options for people to be able to use for recreation. That's it.
And do you know when the grand opening is of the skate park?
Grand opening is on the 22nd from 4 till 6. Wow, pop quiz by the mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Warwick.
Well, I haven't had all of that much. A couple just inquiries about some concerns that they had regarding some folks kind of sitting or a lot of sitting around on some of our walking trails or potential staying in some of our open areas. So I brought those forward and they're being dealt with. And I would just, encourage people that regardless of the communities that you live in, a comment that was just made to me was about, walking in the evening and seeing some of these things. And I would just, encourage everyone to remember that this can happen at any time in any place. It is not a unique or a new problem for Vegreville, but it is something everybody should always be a little bit vigilant when they're walking anywhere in the evening or particularly in the dark. And we do our best to try and keep areas, well lit and safe. But again, if people are seeing things, it's okay to reach out to either the town administration or us. And other than that, that's all I have. A few of my meetings were delayed to this week, but I'm kind of excited that we're off of our summer break and back to meeting and kind of getting to the business of stuff again. So that's it.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Councillor Bullock.
Thank you, Your Worship. Been a little late for me in the municipal area here this past couple of weeks. I'm more out breathing some grain dust with a bunch of people right now, so I don't really have much to say at the moment for what's going on for me.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Barry.
Thank you, Your Worship. I've been hiding in a corn maze most of the week. I should take this opportunity to say that this Saturday is the first day of the transition where the Ag Society will be putting on the corn maze. Things are coming together fairly well. I think there's going to be tall corn, I know that much, because I can't see over it when I'm walking through it, so that's going to be good. And they are slowly putting together a lot of different aspects to it. Farmers market each Saturday, the corn maze itself, the bale maze is going up tomorrow, Bale Mountain tomorrow. We'll have the pedal cars all lined up and going as well. They've also made arrangements for a bouncy castle out there. There's going to be music with pierogies and jam all 7 days of the events. Concessions all the time. I'd like to say that I think that it is actually coming together quite well. So I'm hoping that this transition to having the Ag Society take it over is looking good so far right now. And I've regrettably enjoyed being a volunteer out there again. So, okay. That's all I can say right now. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that. Jameson, are we advertising that on our social media?
No, not the town of Vegreville social media, but what we've done is we've given the keys to the castle, as it were, when it comes to the Vegreville Corn Maze social media account over to the Ag Society. So they're sort of handling that component, but this was a page that was handled in-house up until this year. So they've got the built-in audience, and they're the first line when it comes to the information, and they've done a pretty good job putting it out there.
If I could add, Your Worship, I'd like to give acknowledgements and thank yous to council and the town for letting us use Talk of the Town that was broadcast this last Monday. So it was the town did give us an opportunity to go out and speak with the people to indicate that the corn maze was going again. So that was greatly appreciated, and administration is being very good at giving some assistance and getting some things straightened out for us, so, for the Ag Society. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, myself personally, I've had quite a few inquiries since our last meeting where we made the motion to go ahead and apply for the ACP grant for some fact-finding on a new rec center, and a lot of people are wondering where we may put it. We'd be interested in buying some land from them. But, and I've done a couple of interviews. So basically, I just want everybody to understand that this is the very first step in council making a decision if we're going to move forward or what it looks like, and gathering as much information and partners that we can at this initial stage. So we're not purchasing any land tomorrow, just so everybody gets that. So, Councillor Warwa touched on a little bit about the homeless that we've seen the last few days around Vegreville, and I know that our staff, through municipal bylaw, and the police have been contacted. And some of these people, again, we have no idea who they are or where they came from, and don't want to go to the available agencies that the province has to assist people that are in the situation they're in. They refused. So right now, I know that it's something that we're not used to seeing in this community, and especially when we don't know who these people are. So it's something that the town is keeping a close eye on, and we will be using the municipal enforcement as well as the RCMP to try to curb this where we can. So that's what I've been hearing. So next up, we'll have some director highlights, and we'll start with Director Lefebvre.
Thank you, Worship. The first item I have for director highlights is we're going to talk about the Forest Main project and New Edge. The tentative start schedules, we've received the third one just this morning now, as they try to secure materials that they need for the project. It's hard for them to say when they're going to start until they've got all their stuff nailed down. They're having some long waits for certain valves and things. They were hoping to start in September, then it turned to October, November, and we just got word this morning that they're likely going to start in March of 2024 to get everything lined up, get going, and then have one continuous project as opposed to what we've been seeing in recent past. So that's what we have there. They've submitted bid bond, the liability insurance is in, things are looking good. We're just trying to nail down a schedule. That's what it is this morning. And if it changes, obviously the next report, I'll let everyone know. The last council meeting, we had some discussion about R2 and what was discretionary or permitted use. So I wanted to clarify that now at this meeting. And we felt we may have to do some changes to land use bylaw to accommodate, and we do not. This was done in the 2019 review of the land use bylaw. So permitted uses in an R2 district is day homes, home occupations, minor, single detached dwellings, and public parks. What falls into discretionary, we had previously removed some of the terminology that said duplexes, fourplexes, things like that. And what we've put in is we've left the duplexes in 2019, but above that we've simply grouped them as a ground-orientated multiple unit dwelling. So flip to the good old so on our page 11, ground-oriented multiple unit dwelling means, so this is what's discretionary in an R2, means a building containing at least 3 dwelling units, with each unit having a direct access at grade to the outside. This includes triplexes, fourplexes, townhouses, row houses, carriage houses, and similar buildings. Does not include apartments. So that works, it clears it up nicely and gives us an opportunity to provide more options for housing in our community by having this. So I wanted to clear that up. If you need, you know where to find the land use bylaw. It's on page 11, and you can have a read to refresh, but I wanted to clear that up here at this meeting.
So Dale, is what you're saying, so we don't need to do anything at this time right now?
It was done.
To entertain developers in R2 with fourplexes or anything like that right now?
Absolutely, and more than just fourplexes, like I said, townhouses, row housing, things like that that add more population to an area, which is convenient to know that with infills are good for the town and for the developer, as infrastructure is there already. So it just to let everybody know that this is a really good option when housing is what it is. Okay, the next topic, you may have been driving around our community and see sandy beach roads here and there. I've got a lot of inquiries about it. We did put down road closure on our Facebook page as things to notify people, but I just thought I'd let them know that it's a product we've used for a few years now. It's called the CRF Seal. So we cover roads that are still eligible for an overlay, but are coming close to the time when they may not. So we put an overlay of a seal on them. And so we don't have to shut roads down for 2 and 3 days while the seal is curing. The company brushes sand a good amount, and then after about an hour we can open up to traffic, so we can still run school buses, we can still do these things without having that impact. And then right now we're back to sweeping up all the sand for it. The product's looking good underneath, and then we take the sand and stockpile it and reuse it. The landfill, if we have to dig valves or brakes or things, we'll use it back in the ground again, so it gets used. So it's a economic way to take our pavement quality index as it keeps progressing every year to roads that we're not overlaying at the moment and buys us a few more years at a very affordable price. So it's a good maintenance. And as far as in our community, the last road work project we're doing on the Bruce Road Service Road is one of our last asphalt repairs to get done in there. We're flushing hydrants, snow fences are going up, the blowers are coming in. I hate to say it, it's September, but yes, the snow blowers are coming in soon, and we'll start ramping those up to go through them all. So it's a busy time out there. That's my report, unless there's any other questions.
Go ahead, Councilor Worla.
Sorry, just back to one question on the force main. I understand how it works with them bumping back on timelines and whatnot, but with it looking to be spring, are they currently held within the prices quoted, given that it was their bump back in timeline?
That's correct.
Okay, and we have that in writing for, just what we've seen from companies is they seem to not be able to get things in line, and then they seem to want to add on additional costs. So they're held to that then.
They are held to
Okay. Excellent, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Director LeFave. Up next, Director Johnston.
Thank you, Your Worship. Since the last legislative meeting on September 5th, our admin team has been hard at work on many projects in addition to the normal day-to-day processes. Some of the tasks have included the completion of summer student offboarding, the completion of the Canada Summer Job Student Grant, posting for the payroll and HR administrator position and conducting interviews, the preparation for the council workshop and subsequent meetings, which information was relayed for that in the previous week. The completion of another timely month end, which will be presented at Monday's council meeting, the signed contract for the Alberta Municipalities Power Plus deal for lower market rates, and then our team is just reviewing cell phone billings to determine if we can obtain more cost savings through switching companies. So we have an ongoing analysis and more information to come on that. And then just the preparation for a third quarter variance analysis that you guys will see in October once we close out the month of September, and setting the budget schedule and working through some of the preliminary conversations to start that process for the 2024 budget.
Okay, any questions regarding? I think we've all got our budget calendar invites, correct? Everybody's been getting them, okay? Go ahead.
This would just be regarding budgeting. I know the town always, when it comes to Canada Summer Jobs, budgets to fund all the summer students regardless, but I think the practice has been that we've seen for a number of years that the summer students are covered. So I just wanted to mention that particularly this upcoming year, we should really consider making sure that, you know, we aren't expecting the coverage. I can just tell you that the indications that we got is not that the program will change, but we haven't gotten any indication that the amount of funding will increase. It usually opens in December, even though the jobs aren't allocated till April of the next year. Usually we would have heard a little bit more if there was intention to increase, and last year our area was oversubscribed by more than $1 million worth of job requests. There was actually more jobs not funded than funded. And so a little bit of what we've heard is in some of the decision making for prioritizing the jobs, a lot of times people would think if they got it consistently for year after year, but trying to look in fairness and equity for distribution in areas that there may be, particularly where people who have seen it year after year may not see it, to allow for some other spots. So I was hearing that, and I just thought I should share that as we're moving into budgeting.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Next up, CAO Ling.
Okay, in the last couple weeks, I've had a couple touch bases with the FCSS manager. We've had discussions around programming and the upcoming budget. And just to let council know too, we'll be having a meeting, the FCSS manager and myself will be having a meeting with Lisa DeGuerra from Action for Healthy Communities. She came and presented to council. That's that federal program, and we hope to learn the future of that program here in Vegreville. I've attended my first Quad CAO meeting. It's with the County of Minburn and the villages of Innisfree and Manville. And the topics of interest to Vegreville were regional emergency management And we discussed regional GIS potential as well. Did a final walkthrough with the Parks, Recreation, and Facilities Manager and Blanchette Neon on both the east and the west sides now that they're installed and all the groundwork has been completed. Municipal enforcement is short-handed right now. So Protective Services Manager, Fire Chief Newton has been filling in, and he's been dealing with actually quite a few bylaw calls, a couple animal calls, and a few other things that have come out. The September pool closure has gone very well. It's given the manager a good look at the pool and its workings and what it will require in the future. And the hot tub anti-entrapment has been installed. So that carryover piece has been done now. We have hired the payroll and HR administrator, as Director Johnson has stated. This position went internal. The successful candidate, Christina Husink, brings with her 4 years of HR recruitment experience and 3 years of Dynamics experience to the role. That is a huge benefit, as we don't necessarily have to train on the computer systems. And we have posted internally today for the utilities clerk position. And that's my report.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions for the CIO? Did she get off? Oh, it was almost. Go ahead, Councillor.
Maybe not a question, but a comment. I had somebody that was on the original committee 7 or 8 years ago looking at signage, and they were very happy to see that not only is it completed, but that it looks modern, and if you're approaching at night, that the letters are very visible, and it's very obvious that you're not only approaching a town of import, that it looks new and fresh. So I want to thank you for making sure that that was completed and working with Blanchette Neon to make sure that it was done in the way that we needed to have it done. So thank you.
Okay, so upcoming dates to remember is Friday at the skate park at 4 o'clock, the grand opening. We have Monday, we have a council meeting, and then next week, Alberta Muni starts on the 27th. So, and Sandra will have a couple questions after tonight's meeting regarding the attendance at Alberta Munis. So, if there's nothing else for council, we do have one closed session, and it's for the disclosure harmful to economic and other interest of a public body. So I need a motion to win. Councillor Barry makes the motion. All those in favor? Carried.